Good afternoon, folks. This is Brother Allen with Bible Commentary. We are continuing our study leading up to the study of the book of Daniel. So David became the king of Israel and reigned for a very long time. And Solomon was actually his second son that he had with Bathsheba. David was not permitted to build the first temple because he was a warrior king and had blood on his hands. So let's study Solomon. Solomon was a king of ancient Israel according to the Hebrew Bible. The successor of his father David, he is described as the penultimate ruler of all 12 tribes of Israel under a united Israel and Judah. His reign is hypothesized to have lasted from 970 to 931 BC. According to the biblical narrative, his reign brought commercial prosperity through alliances and trade, but his accumulation of wealth, horses, and foreign wives, many of whom introduced idolatry, led to the divine punishment. After Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam, harsh policies led the northern Israelites to reject the Davidic line and follow Jeroboam, splitting the kingdom into Israel in the north and Judah in the south, according to the Hebrew Bible. Considered a Jewish prophet, Solomon is portrayed as wealthy, wise, powerful, and a dedicated follower of Yahweh, God. As attested by Solomon's temple, he is also traditionally regarded as the author of the books of Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs. He is also the subject of many later references and legends, most notably in the Testament of Solomon, part of the biblical Apocrypha from the 1st century CE. The historicity of Solomon is the subject of significant debate. While current scholarship generally allows for the possibility of a historical Solomon, the details of his reign over Israel and Judah are contested, and the biblical portrayal of his apparent empire's opulence is considered highly likely to be an exaggeration. Solomon is also revered in Christianity and in Islam. In the New Testament, he is portrayed as a teacher of wisdom compared to Jesus, and invoked rhetorically to illustrate God's generosity. In the Quran, he is considered to be a major Islamic prophet, and during the Hellenistic period, Solomon also came to be known as a magician and as exorcist, with amulets and discovered seals invoking his name. The life of Solomon is primarily described in 2 Kings, 1 Kings, and 2 Chronicles. His two names are traditionally taken to mean peaceful and a friend of God, both considered predictive of the character of his reign. The conventional dates of Solomon's reign are derived from biblical chronology and are set from about 970 to 931 BCE. Regarding the Davidic dynasty to which King Solomon belonged, its chronology can be checked against datable Babylonian and Assyrian records at a few points, and these correspondence have allowed archaeologists to date its king in a modern framework. According to the most widely used chronology, Based on that by the Old Testament, Professor E.R. Till, the death of Solomon and the division of his kingdom would have occurred in the fall of 931 BCE. Solomon built the first temple. Solomon's temple, also known as the first temple, was a biblical temple in Jerusalem believed to have existed between the 10th and the 6th centuries BC. Its description is largely based on narratives in the Hebrew Bible, in which it was commissioned by biblical King Solomon, the son of King David, until it was destroyed during the siege of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar II of the Neo-Babylonian Empire in 586 BCE. According to the historian Josephus, this was 470 years after it was built. Due to the extreme religious and political sensitivity of the site, no recent archaeological excavations have been conducted on the Temple Mount, and no positively identified remains of the destroyed temple have been found. Most modern scholars agree that the first temple existed on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem by the time of the Babylonian siege in 587 BC, and there is significant debate among the scholars over the date of its construction and the identity of its builder. The Hebrew Bible, specifically within the Book of Kings, included a detailed narrative about the constructions ordered by King Solomon. It further credits Solomon as the placer of the Ark of the Covenant in the Holy of Holies, a windowless inner sanctum within the structure. Entry into the Holy of Holies was heavily restricted. The high priest of Israel was the only authority permitted to enter the sanctuary, and only did so on Yom Kippur, carrying the blood of a sacrificial lamb and burning incense. In addition to serving as a religious building for worship, the first temple also functioned as a place of assembly for the Israelites. The first temple's destruction and the subsequent Babylonian captivity were both events that were seen as a fulfillment of biblical prophecies and thus affected Judaic religious beliefs. According to the biblical account, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. These wives were described as foreign princesses, including Pharaoh's daughter, and women of Moab, Ammon, Edom, Sidon of the Hittites. His marriage to Pharaoh's daughter appears to have cemented a political alliance with Egypt, whereas he clung to his other wives and concubines in love. The only wife mentioned by name is Naamah the Ammonite, mother of Solomon's successor, Rehoboam. The biblical notes with disapproval that Solomon permitted his foreign wives to import their additional gods, building temples to Ashtoreth and Milcom. In the branch of literary analysis that examines the Bible, called higher criticism, the story of Solomon falling into idolatry by the influence of Pharaoh's daughter and other foreign wives is customarily seen as the handiwork of the Deuteronomistic historians, who are held to have written, compiled, or edited texts to legitimize the reforms of Hezekiah's great-grandson, King Josiah, who reigned from 641 to 609 BC. Jewish scribes say that Solomon's teacher was Shimei ben Gera, and while he lived, he prevented Solomon from marrying foreign wives. The Talmud says, for as long as Shemaiah, the son of Gera, was alive, Solomon did not marry the daughter of Pharaoh. Solomon's execution of Shimei was his first descent into sin. According to 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 4, Solomon's wife turned his heart after other gods. This broke the first commandment that God had given them on the Mount Sinai. Thou shalt have no other gods before thee. Their own national deities, to whom Solomon built temples, thus incurring the divine anger and retribution in the form of division of the kingdom after Solomon's death. In 1 Kings chapter 11 describes Solomon's descent into idolatry, particularly his turning after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the god of the Ammonites. In Deuteronomy 17, verses 16 through 16 and 17, a king is commanded not to multiply horses or wives, nor greatly multiply to himself gold or silver. Solomon sinned in all three of these areas. In addition to his wives, he collected 666 talents of gold each year, a huge amount for a small nation like Israel. He gathered multitudes of horses and chariots from as far as Egypt, and as Deuteronomy warns, took Israel back to Egypt in spirit. Now, according to 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 30 and 34, and 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 9 through 13, it was because of these sins, Solomon's sins, that the Lord punished Solomon by removing most of the tribes of Israel from rule by Solomon's house. And the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart had turned away from the Lord, the God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he did not keep what the Lord commanded. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, since this has been your practice, and you have not kept my covenant and my statutes that I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom from you and give it to your servant. Yet for the sake of David your father, I will not do it in your days, but I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of David my servant, for the sake of Jerusalem that I have chosen. Near the end of his life, Solomon was beset by several enemies, including Hadad of Edom, Rezon of Jobah, and his official Jeroboam of the tribes of Ephraim. King Solomon is a central biblical figure who, according to the Bible, was the builder of the first temple in Jerusalem and the last ruler of a united kingdom, the 12 tribes of Israel. After a reign of 40 years, he died of natural causes around 55 years of age. Upon Solomon's death, his son Rehoboam succeeded him. But the 10 tribes of Israel refused him as king, splitting the monarchy into the northern kingdom of Israel under Jeroboam, while Rehoboam continued to reign over the smaller southern kingdoms of Judah and Benjamin. Henceforth and thereafter, the two kingdoms were never again united as one. I'm going to stop right there, folks, because the next time we're going to go into more detail, particularly how that Israel lost their lands as God had predicted, that if they chose to go after other gods, they would lose their land rights, and they would never, ever again regain possession of that land from God. Until next time, may God bless us all.